Hello everyone. So I wanted to share my story with you all of how I tried to rekindle a friendship with one of my old good friends and it just did not work out. There are a lot of you who are interested in or you are currently, rekindling an old friendship, and sometimes it works out absolutely lovely, beautifully, awesome, beautifully. And other times it just doesn't work out. I know that sometimes it can be disappointing and hurtful when things don't work out with someone that you were once close with. But here's the thing, I don't want you to be discouraged, because when things don't work out with people, there are reasons. There are always reasons, and I want to encourage you so that you don't feel so bad about those times that just didn't work out, okay? So I'm going to share my story. Please forgive the air conditioner. It's 100 and something teen today. So I'm going to take off this hat so I can get comfortable and talk to you guys. So let's get to it. Okay, firstly, I just want to make this very clear. This video is not the tea type of video. It's not gossipy or anything like that. We all have a story to share, and our stories in this life, we can help each other out. And I wanted to share this to encourage somebody, okay? So I was good friends with somebody off and on, which happens over the years, no issue. Sometimes people move, they move back, there's different friend groups, especially in elementary, junior high, and high school. This happens. But whenever we would reconnect, it would always be fun. So later on in life, in the adult years, and this is what's happening with a lot of people because of social media, you are finding each other again, right? So we found each other again. We wanted to rekindle things. We were good friends, we had great times. Elementary, it was more so hanging out like outside of school hours. But you know how you have that friend at school where they're your best friend at school, but then after school it's kind of like you don't see each other, but you can't wait to see each other again at school. That's what we became as we got older, okay? And that's fine. Sometimes you just have your school besties. We would take pictures in between classes and everything, and so we just wanted that back. And when we first started reconnecting, it was by phone, okay? And at the beginning, let me put it this way. For those of you that don't know, some of you know this, but for those of you that don't know, I have a narcissistic family system. And when you have a narcissistic family system, or if you've been in a narcissistic relationship or marriage, friendship, you know that you are trained, you are groomed, you are taught to sweep things under the rug. Whether they are being toxic or abusive toward you or toward others, you were taught to sweep things under the rug. It's a conditioning, it's manipulation, and there are things that you have to unlearn. And I unlearned a lot of things that I was taught, okay? So we're free, so I always like to say, la mariposa, okay? And you can be a mariposa as well. Free yourself from that toxicity. But we are taught to sweep things under the rug. So at the beginning, there were red flags already, looking back in hindsight, okay? But the other thing is I like to give people room and grace, just as I would like for people to give me room and grace for my errors, because I am not perfect. And I always say this, I'm not perfect. But there are certain things that you just should not let slide. So at the very beginning, when we were connecting on the phone, this person always has jokes. They're very funny. It's one of their gifts. That's one of the reasons why we connected so well, because I love to laugh. However, this person would say things about people, okay? And even sometimes about their physical appearance, which I will get to. And then because they know that I'm a Christian, they would say, oh, sorry, God. And they believe in God as well, but they'd be like, sorry, God, I'm trying to change. And again, I like to give grace and give people room. I'm not perfect myself. God forgives me. I forgive others. But again, red flag, as I always say, if somebody is willing to gossip to you or with you, and no, I did not participate, But if they're willing to gossip with you or to you, they will 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the times, they will gossip about you. If somebody is going to say negative things about somebody else behind their back and make jokes about them behind their back, they will do the same to you. At least 99% says that they will. Okay, so red, not even red, burgundy flags, black flags, they were just the darkest shade of red or just straight black that you could think about, right? So they would say that, and I noticed that they kept saying it. So what they were doing is they were using my faith to try to get away with saying mean things about people, because they knew that I was not going for it and that I was not going to participate. But gossipers, they just have to get it out. So they just kept on saying, oops, sorry, God, trying to change. Apology without change is manipulation. And sometimes it's just a struggle, I get it. But you can't bamboozle God. I'm just going to say that. And you're not bamboozling me. However, again, I was taught to just sweep things under the rug. And I would have responded much differently now that I've unlearned that. But back then I'm like, oh, but, you know, there's always that but. Like, oh, but she seems nice and cool any other time. No, don't let that slide. Do not let that slide, okay? If you notice at the very beginning that they're gossipy and they have unkind things to say and they pass it off as a joke, they really mean it. And that's not somebody that you should be around, because they are toxic. And why surround yourself with people like that? First of all, they're not kind people, no matter how they portray themselves to be otherwise or on social media, because who they portray themselves to be, I have to say this, on social media is totally different from the person I was getting to know in this short amount of time. Don't let that slide, okay? So anyway, I'm going to be very specific, because after the jokes came the seriousness. Even though those jokes were serious, no, these were just straight up statements that they were just making. They were getting comfortable. I'm just making it very clear, I'm not gossipy, and I don't agree with anything that I'm about to share. And trigger warning, I will put a trigger warning on the screen, and when the sign fades, then it's over. But they were saying things about physical appearances that were very cruel and unkind, okay? So one thing that they said was this: ugh, I just can't stand seeing people with acne. And I was just like, I was just on the phone like, huh? And I said to them, you know that people can't help that. Like, most times they can't help that. Sometimes it's something internal. Sometimes it's hormonal. Sometimes they just don't know, you know, what to do with their hygiene, like skincare. Then they were just like, I know, but I just can't stand seeing people with acne. I've never met someone who would say such a thing, especially when there's so many people in this world who have had skin issues, and I've been there. And this is before I've ever dealt with skin issues. So I just felt like I had like an allergic reaction in my forehead before that. So I knew what that was like at the time. But just as a human being that cares about other people and their lives and their feelings and circumstances, I couldn't get with it. And I just couldn't understand why anyone would say such a thing, other than the fact that they just have, no matter how nice they portray themselves, just a mean spirit. So another thing that they said was, and this was about another classmate that we grew up with, and they do fluctuate in weight, but it just didn't matter to me as long as they were healthy. You know, doesn't matter as long as you're healthy, you know. But they're just like, she's been eating, huh? Now here's the thing, I want to caution you. Be careful how you respond. Be careful with the whole yeah, but. Because when you put that yeah at the beginning, it sounds like you're agreeing, no matter how positive and kind and loving your intentions are. So at that time, this was my response. Yeah, but they're pretty either way, like, you know, because it happens. Like, I fluctuate too. But now I would have responded differently. I would have said, I'm not going to comment on that person's weight or their body, their image. She's beautiful. And I would have just left it at that. I really do believe that this person was just jealous and envious of this girl, and I will get to why in a moment. So one more thing I want to share that she said that I just couldn't believe was she was referring to another classmate of ours, her fiance. She didn't think he was physically attractive. And so we were on the phone one day and she was just like, ugh, I couldn't imagine seeing myself up under him. And I thought to myself, let me start here. One, why would you ever contemplate whether or not you could see yourself being sexually intimate with somebody else's man? That's one, okay? Black flag, not even red. We're just gonna go all the way black, okay? Two, how dare you? Okay, how dare you? And three, now this is not to be mean, this is just being realistic. My thought was, you're pretty, okay? But who said that he can imagine himself being intimate with you? Who said that he's going to find you attractive? Now this is someone who I learned does, there's an arrogance about them. And I didn't know this at the time because right away, arrogance is a turnoff for me. Confidence, beautiful. Mwah. Chef's kiss. And if you're not so confident, I'm not judging, but I'm saying arrogance, no. I would have, no. We can't connect. If you are arrogant, if you think you're better, if you have the attitude, and this is something that they did say online, the nerve of him to try to talk to me, just that I'm too pretty for you. Like, how dare you, person that I find unattractive, think that you could ever approach me? And this is after our reconnection had already dissipated, but I just didn't know that they were like this, okay? So here's my point with this. Again, if somebody's going to talk about other people, gossip about other people, or people in their lives, you should already know right then and there. I cannot tell you what to do, but I would strongly suggest, because this person is toxic, that you really consider, okay, finding someone else, loving them from a distance, and understanding, this is just not going to work out, and just moving onward and going your own way, and just finding another friend, and in the meantime, just enjoying your own friendship, okay, with yourself until you find somebody who's not toxic. We're going to go back to the young lady that she was talking about, whose weight was fluctuating, which very interestingly, I just knew that this was a jealousy, envy thing, because this person actually, and I don't say this to be mean, I have to say this, they have the same body type as them, and at times they are beautifully thicker, than that person. So it was really odd that they were saying it. When people are insecure about themselves or about something about themselves, they have to try to, in their minds, okay, I'm not saying this is a put down just because the person wasn't really thin, but in their minds, if they're insecure, they're going to try to bring you down. So I'm going to bring you down to make myself feel uplifted, and that's what she was doing. Here's why. So there was this situation where they were dating someone, and this girl that they were talking about didn't know about it, and that was once this person's fiance. I don't even think it was a boyfriend. It was just a former fiance. And they were talking to me about it, and at first I was telling them, if you're she was just your classmate, if you guys are not friends, then there's nothing wrong with it. But if you feel the need to tell her, then tell her. It's a small town. Chances are you're going to date somebody that one of your classmates dated. It happens in small towns. But I will get to why there was the guilt situation. They were always kind of almost, I won't say entirely, but almost paranoid about this person finding out. And I didn't understand why at first, but now in hindsight, that's something that I should have questioned. And so they were talking about somebody else that they were hanging out with, and in fact, it was the person that they were judging their fiance's appearance. And they were just like, oh, they hang out all the time, they're really close, they're super close, they're best friends. And she was like, I bet you they talk about me. Okay. I'm gonna just make a long story short, okay? So the person whom they were talking about their weight, this person just happened to be one of my childhood best friends. We weren't best friends anymore, but with social media, we reconnected. And no, I was not messy at all with the situation. But I did have some questions because this person that I was reconnecting with, I just was not comfortable. The person that they were saying, oh, they're best friends and da-da-da-da. I just said, oh, so you and so, you guys are best friends now? And she was just like, oh, no. I just seen her one time. She got a really nice place. She wanted to show me her nice place, and we just hung out one time at dinner and we took a picture, and that was all. Now, here's why I mention this. Be careful of people who stir up drama and who make assumptions. She was judging by one picture that she's seen online, okay? So there's the paranoia. They're probably talking about me, okay? So let's just get to that. I had to do some investigating. No, I'm not the stalker type, but something wasn't sitting right because I remembered, and I believe God brought this back to my remembrance, certain things that I seen online. You can see things in comment sections, right? When you look at pictures, I love looking at pictures and videos. I'm a photographer, so I just enjoy that, and I like reading comments. You know, sometimes they're fun. So I did my own looking around, and this is why she was paranoid. The thing is, the both girls that she was gossiping about, I seen her trying to reconnect with them. Oh, we should hang out, we should do this, we should do that. They were just like paragraphs. So I'm like, oh, she feels some way because she's trying to be friends with them, yet she's sneaking around with the ex-fiance. Okay, she's trying to be friends with them, but yet she's talking about them. So I'm like, okay, I can't have this type of drama in my life. And I know this is random, but I just want to point these things out here. There was another occasion, because this is important, where I had sent them a message, and I sent them 3 things. Very short message, but I mentioned exactly 3 things. One of those things was about me becoming an author, and it was something that I've been wanting to do, and I was on my way. And they had also shared that they wanted to start up their own business. And I offered to help them. Like, hey, I have the means to help you. Like, I just have the resources. My photography work could have been a huge help in what they were trying to build and what they were trying to start. And so I was already, supportive and excited to help them. When I shared with them my business venture in this message, they responded to 2 things, but the 3rd thing they did not respond to. What was that thing that they left out? My venture as an author. I was thinking to myself, should I ignore that? Should I bring it up? It just didn't sit right with me. It didn't feel good. And when something doesn't feel good, speak up, okay? So I spoke up and I said to them, hey, and I was nice about it. I was talking to them on the phone. I'm like, I shared some things with you, and there's one thing you didn't respond to, and that was, my excitement about becoming an author. And I told them, like, you were one of the first people to know, one of the only people to know. And she was just like, oh, yeah. And I seen that too. Oh, congratulations. Pretend you hear crickets right now. Huh? I was just like, thank you. Please pay attention to the lack of support that a person gives you. Now, granted, sometimes different beliefs and morals come, those things come in, but this was not that case. And judging by my experiences with them, no, I don't think everyone is jealous or envious of me at all. But this person did have a competitive thing about them, a jealous, envious, let me see, like, if you're topping me kind of an attitude. Jealousy is more competitive. Envy is more covetous, which I always refer to as toxic admiration or toxic desiring. So basically, they can't admire something of yours or desire something that you have or that you're doing without there being some toxic feeling or emotion like anger or hatred or, jealousy, like trying to compete, okay? She was examining me, okay? She was examining me, trying to find things that she felt were flaws on me. So one day, this is the very first time we actually hung out in person. We went out to eat, and she leaned in, and she was staring at my face. And I didn't understand what she was doing. I was just kind of like, just looking around, And she was like, you take the Lord's name in vain, so I'm not going to say what OMG stands for. I'm going to say, oh, wow, instead, okay? So she was just like, oh, wow, you don't have any pores. So basically, she was looking to see if I had noticeable pores. I've never in my life had somebody like blatantly do that. And she was just examining my face. I let that pass because sometimes it's just a person's way of complimenting you. But the other thing she did was she noticed that I had a broken nail, and she made that clear to me. She noticed that I had a burn on my neck from when I had burned myself with a flat iron, and she made that clear to me. And one day we were walking at the mall, and she's like, "Do you have a booty? Let me see." Then she was like, which I thought was very insensitive. For one, don't do that. And two, she was aware that I have a health issue called ulcerative colitis. Some of you all know this. And sometimes it causes unexplained weight loss. And I do not like when I get too thin because I actually start to look sickly. And most of my weight goes to my bottom half. So sometimes I have more, sometimes I have less. But why does it matter? I'm more than my body. And as a woman and as a woman of God, even if I was not a woman of God, but considering both, I understand that my value, is not placed in my backside, thighs, legs, whatever, my bottom half. So the shallowness of it all. But anyway, yeah, they were just looking for things, and I would see them just like scanning me. So I'm going to say this. If you find someone just scanning you and saying things that makes it very clear that they are looking for flaws in you, that's a huge burgundy flag that they are jealous or envious of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would strongly suggest that you find friends who can celebrate you and not try to compete with you. So for instance, gentlemen, start with the gentleman. If you have a nice outfit on, it's better that you find a friend that's going to be like, "Oh, I like your outfit, I like your fit," rather than somebody that's going to be looking at you like, "Oh, he thinks he's better because he has those shoes." And you don't want friends like that. And ladies, if you have a friend who sees your hair, for instance, they think your hair is beautiful, and they're just like, "You have such beautiful hair, I hate you." Never just let somebody tell you that they hate you, not even as a joke or just as a figure of speech, because most times there's something within them where they really are hating on you, or some people can secretly hate you. I've had people secretly hate me, and it just, what was in the dark came out to the light. So just be careful of people who, instead of celebrating you or complimenting you genuine compliments, who have something negative to say, or they're just trying to find something that they consider, keywords they consider to be flaws about you. And not just, physical appearance, but characteristically. I had somebody just out of nowhere, and this is one of the narcissists in my family tree, who just like, "Oh, and you're not so perfect yourself, Charrese." I never said I was perfect. But clearly you're feeling insecure right now, and you're taking those insecurities out on me. Side note here, sometimes and I don't say this arrogantly, it's just a fact. I even had an old best friend like that. They get so tired of hearing other people say kind things about you that they start to resent you. And with the narcissist that I'm speaking of in this moment, that was the case. So just wanted to make that clear. Clearly somebody needed to hear that. It's just in my spirit to share that. This was one of the very last things. I was like, nope, gotta go. This was it. So they were very attentive. They paid attention to the things that I was interested in, the things that I desired and I liked, and that's good in a friend. But don't take it personal when people don't remember things. They just have a lot going on. But this person paid attention. And one day we were talking, and she was just like, "Girl, I will buy you this, I will buy you that, I will take you this place, and we can do this together, we can travel here and here and there. Girl, I will be your savior." Excusez-moi. I was like, "Savior? No creo. I don't think so. Don't believe so. For one, I already have a Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And two, what are you thinking to where you think that you're salvaging at all?" She was looking at the surroundings, because she pays attention. And where I was staying was not a very nice place. And I still don't have much, and I don't have much financially. And I don't care about name brands and expensive things and That's more their thing. But the fact that you would see yourself as above me to where you would consider yourself as being a potential savior for me, absolutely not. Let me say this. You are no one's project, okay? And no matter where you come from, whether you're rich, poor, or somewhere in between, there is no one in this life, okay, that has a right to treat you as or see you as beneath them. They are not better than you, okay? We are all equals in this life. If anything, they should be encouraging you, and they should be, if they want to help, they should be encouraging you, uplifting you, and perhaps giving you different ideas of how you can flourish in life. Look, again, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I can strongly suggest to you that you should never allow anyone in your life, okay, who sees you as less than them, who sees themselves as above you, or as some type of a savior. I like the saying, it's giving. Well, she literally said, I will be your savior. And so that's where I was just like, oh, no. At the time, I didn't even know how to respond. I kind of just like froze, and I was just like, because sometimes you're just shocked to where you're speechless, Another thing that I noticed that I found very peculiar, very strange, is she would ask me, hey, what happened to so-and-so? You guys are best friends. Or, she would like mention somebody, since again, this is a small town. Hey, what happened to so-and-so? And I haven't had very many issues with people over the years. But there was one person that she asked me about who was once my best friend. And she set me up when we were in high school, and she purposely sabotaged a situation between me and a guy who really liked each other at the time, okay? And so after that, the friendship just went downhill. And yeah, and another person, me and this girl were not friends, but she did almost hit me and my other friends with her car, and then she yelled something really mean out of her window, and we never understood why. She was just really mean. And so she asked me about these people, and I told her what happened. Now I will stop here to say this. Be careful with sharing what happened or like drama between you and other people, especially you and your old friends, especially best friends, especially if you are just getting to know them, or if you are just getting to know them all over again, which I will get to. But when you are connecting or reconnecting with somebody, and they ask you specifics, they don't need to know why you and your old best friend had a falling out. Something that you can say is, what, our season was up, or things just didn't work out. I mean, you could say something simple if you feel like it's the right thing to say, like, hey, what, I hurt them or they hurt me. That's all I'm going to say. It was just time for us to move on. You don't have to go into specifics. You don't even have to say that much. Here's what I noticed, okay? After I told her about each of these, young ladies now, no longer girls. After I told her about what happened with these ladies, she then, not until after, okay, not before, but after, she then wanted to reconnect with them all of a sudden, okay? Let's hang out, or, I called her once and she tried to be like sneaky, and I don't know why are you hiding, it's your life, you can be friends who you want to be friends with, but I have a point which I'll get to. But, she was trying to hide that she was actually at the house of the lady who almost hit me and my friends with the car, and then was mean to us about it back in high school. So here's the thing. This was a pattern that she had began. Anybody who did not like me, or, we had a falling out, she wanted to hang out with them. Here's what I've learned about people like that, you guys. When somebody secretly feels something negatively toward you, they will try to find other people who are like-minded, okay? They want a team. They want somebody else or other people who also don't like you, so that they cannot like you together, or so that they can feel jealous or envious of you together, or so they can talk about you together. It is the weirdest thing, but it's the pack mentality. Let's all not like her together or feel some negative way. And I wasn't there amongst them, but I would not be surprised if she said, hey, did this ever happen with you and Charrese? Because I learned, again, they're going to try to talk about other people to you or with you. Again, I didn't participate, but if they will try, then they're going to do the same thing to you. You know, a drama starter is a drama starter until they have a change of heart, a change of their spirit, a change of mindset. And that's who she was in that season of life. I don't know where she is now, but I hope that things have gotten much better for her. I really do. And the very last time we talked, I was just going through something where I was betrayed horribly by a couple of the narcissists in my family tree. And this situation was so emotionally distressing and so just hurtful that eventually it did cause the ulcerative colitis, the disease, to spread almost a foot into my colon. And basically, it could have cost me my life. Okay, internal bleeding. The doctors couldn't stop it. I literally had to pray, and the Lord blessed me with a miracle. Okay, and that's the absolute seriousness. Like, it took a miracle. And so at the start, I was crying, and I had been there for her. Now, let me say this. I don't believe in keeping records and helping people just because, I know I'm going to ask them for something later. No, I'm not saying to do that, okay? But I do believe in reciprocation and awareness. And it is very important that you pay attention and that you are aware of those who are there for you just as you are there for them in whatever way that they can be, because not everyone is able to help you in the same way that you can help them. So let's still have some compassion and some grace there. Show some grace. But I've been there for her even in a time where I was almost blinded. It's a different story, and my eyes were swollen almost shut, in pain, bedridden, but I still wanted to be there for them, and it was in my spirit to do so. So I was looking through squinted eyes, typing, migraine and everything. They knew what was going on, and they still sent me like another long passage, and that was it. I was there for them in other situations when my heart was hurting, but they wanted advice on their love life, or like they were having something going on with their health. But the moment I called, because two people, not just one, but two people betrayed me. It was kind of like a gang up. Betrayed me in such a horrible way, and I needed someone to talk to, and I'm crying. And then suddenly she stops calling, she stops checking on me, and then she posts online, and I'll just paraphrase, summarizing, I have my own issues, I don't have time to help anybody else. Oh, okay. I was like, okay, did you have to post that online? And they did stop talking to me for a while. And it was strange. Then they started trying to communicate with me again on social media, and I just wasn't interested, so I just totally disconnected from them. And because I know I deserve better. I've already been through that. Actually thinking about it, they do give, I can't say for sure that they are a narcissist, but they do have narcissistic traits. Already been there. And at the time, I didn't understand narcissism, but I'm glad I went ahead and cut them off, because I didn't need any more narcissists. Narcissists are usually attracted to other, I'm going to say survivor and not victim, survivors of narcissism, because they can they notice you as prey because you've already been groomed to be prey for someone else. Okay, so be careful of that if you are a survivor of narcissistic abuse. Other narcissists, they can sniff you out. They can find you because of your grooming. But you can unlearn those things, and less of them will find you, or you can nip it in the bud at the beginning. It can definitely be unlearned. I've unlearned a lot of things, and I've flourished and I've grown. You can too. And by the way, I do forgive her. I just want to say that. For those of you who have tried to reconnect with somebody, or you are currently in the process of doing so, and it just didn't work out, or it's not working out, please remember a few things. Remember the following. One, that person that you used to know, if it's been years, especially if it's been years, they may not be the same person who they once were. We change. Some of us grow in positive ways. Some people stay stagnant and they don't grow. Some people change in negative ways. Sometimes it's a combination of the three. But you have to remember that, okay? That sometimes people change and you are expecting who you once knew. And then it's a shock when they are not the person that you once knew. So again, be prepared that if you're going to reconnect with a friend, they might not be the same person that you once knew. So go into that with that mindset. I'm not saying it has to be a negative, but remember that this person has had some years. They've had some time, some experiences, some reactions, possible traumas, and you have to understand that this is like getting to know a new person, not the one that you once knew. Okay? The other thing to remember is sometimes you might have this moment, and this is where self-awareness comes in, because I had this moment, okay? And the first one was true for me as well, but I also had this moment. Sometimes you look back and you're just like, whoa, what happened? Like, this is not the person I remember. Self-awareness. Yes, it was. You just were a lot like them as well. And you didn't notice it, and you probably just didn't remember because you've grown. Back then, because of where you were in life, it was acceptable to you, or just something that you were just indifferent about. It just didn't matter. You were willing to ignore those things because this person is fun and they're funny and they're cool and I love them, they're my bestie. And now in hindsight, you're just like, wait a minute, were they always like this? And it's not arrogance. What I'm saying is this: sometimes we outgrow people. Just like sometimes people, they outgrow us. That's life. It's okay. Sometimes, yes, that's who they always were. But you were able to relate to them because that's who you once were. And actually, this is something that you can just look at and humbly say, you know what? I've changed. And as a Christian, I'll say, God has grown me. He's changed me. And you can have a humble gladness about it. And just be thankful that you have experienced growth. And just, again, as a Christian, pray for them that they will grow too, and just pray for the best and desire the best for them. But yes, sometimes it's who they always were. You just accepted it at the time with where you were in life, and now you've grown and you've elevated, and you're no longer that person, and therefore you're no longer finding them relatable, and that is okay. And again, humbly understand that this is a good thing for you, because it shows you that you're not the person that you once were, and you have grown in life. Now lastly, darling, sometimes some friends are only in our lives for a season. They serve their purpose in your life. You've served your purpose in their life. And even if there's no drama, I have to say this, because sometimes you reconnect with people and it's not that there's drama, it's just that you don't click. You no longer click, you don't click anymore, and that's okay. Sometimes you're two different people now. You've grown into two different people, different directions, different mindsets, and just different lives. And it's not that they're toxic, it's not that you're toxic, it's just you're not meant to be friends, and that is also okay. So understand that seasons of life exist. And if the person was toxic, okay, take it as a blessing and as a good thing that you know now. And you don't have somebody in your life or attached to your life or in or around your life, or the good people, the positive people in your life, that's going to be negative, that's going to be bringing you down, that's going to be causing drama in your life, okay? I always say, protect your peace. My peace is so important, and I've learned that in the later years of my life, that your peace, protected, it needs to be protected. It's so important. And if you come into my life and you are bringing your negativity and your toxicity, and I don't have peace, and I can't have you around me. Like I can't have you around me. And I love you and I forgive you if there's anything that was negative that's happened, but I have to love you and forgive you, loving you from a distance. And I'm also very future-minded. Not only do I look at it as, if you're toxic for me, I can't have you around me. But if I can already see that you would be toxic around my children or around my future spouse, around my marriage, I can't have you around me. I can't have you around them, because your blessings and your gifts, you protect them as well. Okay? So take it as a blessing that things didn't work out. And you, of course, we are human. Feel your feelings. If you're sad about it, you're feeling disappointed, feel that. Don't ignore it. But just don't rest there. Do not rest there. Okay? As I always like to say, okay? Let's move forward. Let's move onward, and let's move upward in life. It was a lesson. It was an experience. Let's take it as a blessing, as something positive, and now we will move onward, and we will make room for the people who are supposed to be in our lives. And as a Christian, I will say, for the people that God has in His will, His perfect will for our lives, who are going to love us and have fun with us and support us, and we will reciprocate that and do the same. Love them, support them, be there for them, all those things, and have fun. Like, it'll be something positive. There might be ups and downs and, little disagreements, but it should never be argumentative. It should never be abusive. It should never be narcissistic, which is also abuse. It should never be toxic. Okay? It should never steal your peace, your joy, your happiness, and it should never just drain the life out of you. Okay? Remember those things. Remember, positive people, they're going to build you up. They're going to add to your life in positive ways. And they're not going to add to your life in negative ways. Okay? Make sure they respect you, and that they have a genuine and pure love for you, and that they only want the best for you. And they see you as a friend and not as their competition. Make sure that it's pure love. Okay, my hair is kind of juicy right now, as in it's a little frizz. It's been humid. It's been almost 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to eat lunch. There have been gnats here trying to eat with me again. Girl extraordinaire, you're not invited. So I'm gonna go eat. Until next time, do all things in love, love, and gracefully. Bye.